Hey there guys, it's Hobo525 here, back with another video, and today I'm going to be ranking my top 10 favorite Iron Man Marvel Legends. So yeah, I did make this list about 6 months ago, but I've got a lot of new Iron Man then, so the list is heavily going to change. But if you want to go check out my old list, the link will be in the description. But with that said, let's get started. Taking the number 10 spot is the Mark 27 Disco. Now, this figure is pretty good. I don't really have too many problems with it. The articulation is pretty good. It does use the same mold as the Age of Ultron War Machine figure and the Iron Patriot figure from Iron Man 3, which isn't a problem at all. But I think the reason I have this as number 10 is because I'm just not the biggest fan of the orange and blue, kind of color scheme together. Like, it's fine if you want to have those colors on, like, some Iron Man armor. I really do like that a lot of the Iron Man armors from the MCU have other colors than just, red and gold. So I really do like that. But, yeah, which does make sense because this armor is kind of like a chameleon suit. It kind of can, like, blend it in the environment. So the colors do make sense, technically, but I'm just not the biggest fan of it, so yeah, it's number 10. Coming in number 9 is the Iron Man Classic Armor, and oh my god, this figure is absolutely wonderful. I mean, such a good figure. The articulation is some of the best I've actually seen on any Marvel Legends that I have. Like, I think out of this entire list, this figure has the best articulation, so yeah, and it also has one of the best paint jobs I've seen, just the gold and the red, it's just so well painted and all of that. Really good figure. It's definitely one, it's good to animate with too, if I want to do a stop motion with him. He stands up very well, and he comes with 2 other head sculpts, another Iron Man helmet and a Tony Stark head sculpt, which I can always appreciate. But yeah, this figure is just pretty much perfection, and the only reason it's number 9 is because I like 8 other figures more than it. Coming in number 8 is the Model 51 Iron Man suit, and this is a mighty fine figure, if I do say so myself, because, just look at him. The articulation is pretty good, not the best I've seen on an Iron Man figure, I think the arms could go up a little more, but yeah, very nice paint job. Like, I think what makes this figure number 8 is by far, like, the design. The articulation is okay, but this is, like, one of the coolest designs I've seen for an Iron Man suit, and I kind of wish we had this guy, or, like, this specific suit in the MCU, which probably won't happen now because dead. So, yeah, I really do love this helmet design, too. It looks freaking amazing, and, yeah. Next up is the Mark 1, and out of all the figures on this list, it has the worst articulation by far. And I honestly think, in rare cases, this is a good thing, because hear me out. So the Mark 1 suit really, it's the Mark 1. It's not really supposed to be all that flexible, you could say. It's really, really, like, limited, and it restrains Stark a lot. So I think it's all right that it has, pretty bad articulation. No double jointed elbows, no double jointed knees, not even an ab crunch, but I think that's fine because I just feel like this suit, it's not really supposed to be that flexible in the first place. So yeah, the fact that it doesn't have too much articulation is perfectly fine by me. So moving on, the design is also fantastic. This is the exact same mold from the 2008 version of this figure, but this looks a lot better, because of, like, the design and all that. A lot more realistic. It just looks very, very metal-y, I'd say. Is metal-y a word? I don't know, but this looks great. So, yeah. Next up is Mark 85, and I did not think this figure would be this high up on the list. And I'm sure many of you guys thought this figure would be, like, in my top 3 or something like that. And before I made this list, I thought that too, but he's just number 6, which is fine. He is a fantastic figure, and I don't really have too many problems with it. The articulation, the paint job, it is all wonderful. I think my main problems is, well, not really a problem, but I wasn't really the biggest fan of this suit in Endgame. Like, the design is cool, but I don't know, I'm just not the biggest fan of this Mark 85 suit. And not really a huge problem, but kind of a big problem is that, I'm just gonna take this off. Yeah, so I don't think I have any other Marvel Legend that has this kind of peg. Like, I can't fit any head on it at all. So I can't fit any Tony Stark heads on this unless I guess I squeeze it on or something like that, but I don't want to ruin it or anything. So that's kind of a letdown. You know, I wish this figure actually did come with a Stark head, but it didn't. But I still have the 2008 one, so that would have been nice. But unfortunately, it can't fit, so that kind of brings this figure down a lot for me because, I don't know, would have been badass. So, yeah. On to the final 5, we have Mark III, and this figure is just absolutely amazing. I did not think this figure would actually just grow on me that much, but I just love this figure so much. The paint job, fantastic. Like, this figure is fantastic for a film that came out, or I mean for a figure that came out 12 years ago. One thing that does bother me though is the ballpoint joints, which I hate ballpoint joints so much, but it's honestly not as bad on this figure as it is other figures that I might mention later on. But yeah, it doesn't really bother me that much. I really like the realism in this figure, I want to say. Not really realism, but, you know, it makes sense that this figure is actually a lot smaller than, like, other Iron Man figures. You know, we have this figure right here, which I didn't get to on my list yet. But, yeah, so it makes sense that this figure is smaller because I believe the Mark III is about, like, in height-wise, it's, like, 6'3", and I think any other Iron Man armor after that is, like, I want to say between 6'4" and 6'7". I'll check my math on that later, but yeah, so it makes sense that this figure is smaller. I don't think that was, you know, Toy Biz's attention when they made this figure, but I think it's all the cooler. And taking the number 4 spot is Mark VII, and this figure is just pretty much perfect, you know? I mean, just look at him. The sheer bulk is really good. You know, I kind of like how bulky he is, and I love this mold for an Iron Man suit. I don't think we've ever got this before, this figure, and I don't even think any other figure has used this mold, but if they, like, remake the Mark VI armor, which they should, so I can get them and not have to pay $1 million, but if they ever, like, remake, like, Iron Man figures, like, you know, a Mark V figure or something like that, they need to use this mold. This mold is, oh, it's such a good mold. Oh, my God. Yeah, and I do love the glossy paint he has. I'm, like, a sucker for that. You know, I just think it adds a lot more to the figure and, you know, the suit, so I love that, too. Tony Stark's head fits on it pretty well, and the articulation is also very, very nice. You know, these shoulder pads don't get in the way too much when lifted up the arms, and I do have a lot of figures that have shoulder pads that do, like, limit the arms when they go up, so that's awesome. So on to the final 3 is the Mark 46, and yeah, this figure was actually number 1 on my last list, so I'm pretty happy that it's number 3 here, but yeah, this figure is just perfection. I think the articulation is really good, except with the arms. Like I said, the shoulder pads on some of my figures kind of limit the arms from going up, and that's exactly what these do, because, you know, like, the shoulder pads are, like, attached to the arms, where the Mark VII, they're not really attached to the arms at all, more of, like, the shoulders, where they kind of should be, so I think that's kind of a, I don't know, dumb thing, but it's whatever. But I just love the suit in general. I thought it was so badass in Civil War, and Civil War is, like, one of my favorite MCU movies of all time. I think it's, like, number 2. But, yeah. And I know this has a battle damage head. I can't really find the, you know, normal head for this guy, because I kind of lost it while filming, but I'll find it because I really want to put this guy back together. And, yeah, I definitely recommend getting this figure if you love this suit, and you just want to expand on your Iron Man collection. And taking second place is the Mark 50. And how can I not put him in second place? I mean, this figure is just beautiful. Like, he looks freaking amazing. I think out of all these figures, and probably out of most of my Marvel Legends, he is the best paint job by far. I mean, I'm just a sucker for, like, this glossy paint, and it looks so good on this figure. This figure pulls that off so well, and it's just such amazing quality. The articulation, also very nice. A little bit stiff with the arms, but I think that's, you know, excusable for this figure because he just looks freaking awesome. And I just love the design of the Mark 50 suit too, and it definitely makes sense that this figure would get, you know, this awesome design. Definitely worth it, and I just love this figure. So, yeah. So before I reveal my number 1 pick, I do want to list some honorable mentions. Okay, so this figure, I used to like it a lot, but now looking at it, it's just, I really love the design of the suit. You know, I'm not going to criticize that too much. It's more of, like, the articulation and the overall size of the figure, because this figure, it's like, freakishly small. I mean, look how short it is compared to this figure right here, to the classic Iron Man figure. It's just way too short. I think the head is way too tiny. It's like really weird how tiny this figure is. But yeah. And then we do have the ballpoint joints, which I hate so much on this figure. This figure uses it so badly. I mean, they're like really loose. Like really loose. They keep like turning around throughout the entire leg. Every time I move it, like I'm trying to move it to go up, it won't go up. It just turns the ballpoint joints around, which is really annoying. But yeah, I just hate these joints so much. And I really don't understand why Hasbro would use these. I mean, this figure, what? It came out in 2018, I want to say. So there's not an excuse at all for them to use these joints. And I don't know if this mold was like an old Toy Biz one. So yeah, but not really an excuse for this figure to be so just meh. But I kind of hope we get like a better figure with this design later because I love this design so much. So yeah. So my next honorable mention is Hulkbuster. And yeah, this figure isn't bad by any means at all. The only reason it didn't really make the list, well, because one, I just like all those other figures better. And two, the articulation could be a little better on this guy. Like, I know he kind of has an excuse because, he's big and bulky, and that's fine. But I still think they could have done better with, like, the ab crunch. It doesn't really move down. Actually, that does move down quite a bit. But still, I think the articulation can be better with this guy. Yeah, maybe double jointed knees, double jointed elbows. I think that could have worked for this figure. But yeah, it's not too big of a deal at all. And I kind of wish we were able to kind of like fit a Tony Stark head on this. I mean, you probably can, but it would probably fall off because the pig is pretty small. So, yeah. Not really too big of problems at all. These are just minor nitpicks from a fantastic figure. So our last honorable mention is the Mark 50 Iron Man. And this was the original one that came out before Hasbro kind of redid the other one or repainted that and then released it. So, yeah, this figure actually used to be my favorite at a time. And I do have a lot of history of this figure. I made my first stop motion on my channel with this figure, and he's still an amazing figure. But when you compare it to this one, I think you could see which one's better. I think this figure actually has a lot better articulation. Like, it's a lot more loose and not really as stiff as this one, but I think this one destroys it of overall quality, and just the paint job's a lot better. So, yeah. Okay, so taking the number one spot is Mark 42, and if any of you know that I got this yesterday, I did tell some people, on Instagram how much I love this figure, so a lot of you may have saw this coming, but words cannot describe how much I love this figure. Let's start off with the paint apps. Beautiful. I just love the design of the Mark 42 suit. If you guys don't know, it's my favorite Iron Man suit of all time, throughout the movies, comics, all of it. I love this suit with a burning passion. Very nostalgic to me, too, because Iron Man 3 was the first MCU film I saw in theaters, and the suit was just so cool in the movie. I just love the way it attracts and all that. I just love the suit a lot. So, yeah, I'm kind of biased here, but I think that's okay because, yeah, the suit's freaking awesome. The figure is fantastic. The articulation is pretty good, too. It doesn't have the shoulder pad problems. They're right up here. I love this mold a lot. Yeah, very, very nice. I guess the only nitpick I have is that this leg, it's kind of like, it's not really straight. It's kind of like bending towards this leg, which kind of makes it slant a little bit, but that's not too big of a deal. Not really a problem at all. Just something I wanted to mention. But yeah, this figure is just, I love this figure so much. I love the head sculpt a lot. I like how his eyes are blue because a lot of the Iron Man figures have, kind of white eyes, which is fine, but I think the blue eyes look so cool. And this helmet sculpt, very, very nice. Just all around a very good figure. And it looks so good for like a 2013 figure. Like, it looks so realistic to the movie. The brand, like the red that it does have a little red, but yeah. Very, very nice. It's very glossy. I love that paint so much. But yeah, this figure is absolute perfection. And it's definitely like either number one or number two of my favorite figures of all time. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's pretty much it for this list, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy. I definitely will be making like another rendition of this probably in like 6 months or so, or whenever I get like more Iron Man figures, at least like 5, and then I'll make another list. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess tell me down in the comments what your favorite Iron Man figure is. And yeah, with all that said, have a great day, guys, and Hobo525 out.